Hello and welcome to the Capitol Report on NTD Television. I'm Steve Lance. An updated border strategy from the Biden administration. What the White House says about Title 42 as it is set to expire in just a few days. NTD's Iris Tao brings us more.
The Department of Homeland Security has released an updated plan to prepare for a surge of illegal immigrants at the southern border. That says Title 42, a pandemic-era policy used to turn away millions of illegal immigrants, is set to expire next Wednesday. The plan made public this week includes staffing surges, accelerated processing of border crossers, more detention tents, and more prosecution of smugglers. But a 6-point document contains no major structural changes from a similar plan released back in April. And today, when asked if the administration has an estimate of how many illegal immigrants are expected next week, here's the White House answer.
I don't have an estimate to share. We're focused and we are prepared. We will have more to share in the next coming days.
Republicans, meanwhile, accuse the Biden administration of doing too little, too late.
He has no plan to deport the more than 1 million people who have active deportation orders in our country.
And some Democrats also voicing concerns. Texas Congressman Henry Cuellar joining Republicans in urging President Biden to check out the border.
Just showing up at the border would send a strong signal to the communities that he's there.
Even before Title 42 expires, Cuellar says there are about 50,000 people already at the border waiting to get in. And according to CNN, DHS is projecting that once the policy ends, about 9,000 to 14,000 migrants could try to get into the country illegally each day. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Iris Tao, NTD News.
And the crisis on the southern border is growing beyond a partisan divide. DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas just wrapping up a visit to the southern border. And to assess, we spoke with former DHS chief under President Trump, Chad Wolf. Here's a look. Chad Wolf, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Chad, you had about 20 lawmakers on Capitol Hill yesterday calling for Mayorkas to be impeached. This while he's on the border meeting with Border Patrol. What about Mayorkas's border policy do you think needs to be addressed to change the crisis at the border?
Well, probably every aspect of what they're doing on the border, they being DHS and Secretary Mayorkas. They are not devising a strategy and a plan to actually end and solve the crisis that we see down there. What they want to continue to do is manage the crisis. And by managing the crisis, you're only encouraging more and more individuals to come to that border. So I think they have to get serious about putting in policies, procedures, and plans that will deter the illegal behavior and make sure that we deal with those folks quickly and timely and sending them back to their home countries if they don't apply for asylum. So there's a wholesale attitude change that needs to occur on that border. Obviously, he was in El Paso just recently, the DHS secretary. He had an opportunity to lay out a path forward. He failed to do that because I don't know that they have a strategy in place. And I think that's concerning as we look ahead in the next several days to Title 42 ending.
Chad, it does appear that some Democrats seem to be acknowledging this problem on the border, which is the first step. You even have Governor Newsom of California saying ending Title 42 could be catastrophic. Do you see a pathway for a bipartisan solution?
Well, I hope there's some bipartisan support. I think it's interesting that most Democrats, including Governor Newsom and others, don't want Title 42 to go away because in a strange sense of the word, Title 42 is the only thing that's really kept the wraps on how explosive the border could be. So I think they understand that. But what I would say is all the policies that were torn down on day one and week one and month one of this administration all contributed to the crisis that we're seeing today. Title 42 is the last tool in the tool belt. But Title 42 has always been temporary, so you always needed a plan in place once Title 42 went away, as it soon might. And they needed to start outlining that plan because part of this game that we play on the border is also messaging to the cartels and the traffickers and the smugglers, letting them know that there's a new sheriff in town, that we're not going to continue to do business as usual, and there's going to be some repercussions in place. And we see that not really to be the case. And so not much has changed if you're a cartel member and you're running your organization over the last 23 months. It's been business as usual. Business has been very good to you, and you're seeing more profits. You have more control of territory. and people than you ever have before, and that needs to change.
Now, it does appear that when some of the pressure is shifted from these border states to non-border states and cities like New York, Washington, D.C., and others, that the officials there do start to feel the burden. What would you like to see or hear from non-border state officials with regard to border security?
Well, I think it's interesting, right? They only talk when it impacts them personally. I think what they need to understand is every city, every community in this country is a border town and a border community, because what comes across that border, whether it's illegal narcotics, it's weapons, it's human trafficking, it does not stay along the border. It doesn't stay in El Paso or McAllen, Texas, or Yuma, Arizona. It goes into communities all across this country. So you may not be on the border, you may not be a border state or a border city or a border town, but it does impact you. And so making sure that there is that we're securing that border, there's some orderly process to it, it impacts your community. So this is why it's critically important that Americans care about this. But you're exactly right. It wasn't until some of these folks started showing up in New York and Chicago and Martha's Vineyard did we start to see Democrat big city mayors say, whoa, 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 not in my community, and we really need to do something about it. My question to them is, where have you been for 20 months at that point in time? Where have you been? We've been trying to sound the alarm on this because every month it gets worse and worse. And as it gets worse and worse, it's going to become that much harder to dig out of it. This is not a switch that you flip overnight. This is going to take many, many months to try to improve. And every month that we go backwards and reverse, it's going to make it that much more difficult.
Chad Wolf, former acting Secretary of Homeland Security, appreciate your perspective.
All right, thank you.
Popular video app TikTok is under intense scrutiny from lawmakers on Capitol Hill. The Senate has unanimously passed a bill to ban the app on federal devices. NTD's Melina Wisecup brings us more from the Capitol. Melina, break this down for us if you could. What does this ban do, and can we expect to see it enacted anytime soon?
So essentially what this bill does is it bans the use of the video sharing app TikTok from government devices, and it goes even further than this, also banning other applications that are developed by ByteDance, which is TikTok's parent company. And since this company does report directly to the Chinese Communist Party, lawmakers, both Republicans and Democrats, have expressed national security concerns. As a matter of fact, FBI's director was here in Congress testifying to lawmakers, saying that the use of TikTok in the United States is extremely concerning. Here's Senator Josh Hawley expressing exactly why this is the case as he probes one of TikTok's executives at a recent hearing.
You have hundreds of employees with, it appears, access to U.S. user data that may very well be members of the Chinese Communist Party. You have no way to assure me that they don't have access to our citizens' data.
So while the Senate has passed this ban, it would still need to go through the House in order for it to actually be enacted. But as of right now, it's not looking like it's going to happen before the end of this Congress. We're here with just 1 week left before lawmakers head out of town to conclude the 117th Congress. We heard from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on this issue. Here's where she stands and if she sees it as a priority.
My understanding is that there are provisions in the bill that do not deter our ability to, shall we say, from an intelligence standpoint and the rest, still be able to track what we need to track regarding China. I don't know that that will be on the agenda next week, but let's see. But it's very, very important.
And this bill has stalled in the House once before, back in 2020, but some states are seeing this issue as an urgent one and too urgent to wait for D.C. to act. In just the past 2 weeks, 7 states have barred public employees from using TikTok on government devices. Some lawmakers here in D.C. want to go even further than this and ban TikTok completely from the U.S. Senator Marco Rubio this week introduced a bill to do just that.
And that's a national security threat, but it's a direct threat to our way of life, our economics. It's allowed them to interfere in the midterm elections. This company should be banned. I don't know why they're allowed to operate in the United States.
And while lawmakers are running out of time to push this during this Congress, we do expect to see more action in relation to TikTok during the next Congress, and that's especially the case considering the strong bipartisan consensus there is around this issue. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Melina Weiskup, NTD News.
Former President Trump is entering the NFT business. On Truth Social today, Trump announced the debut of his official digital trading card collection. The ex-president says the cards showcase his life and career. The featured artwork also includes him as a superhero, astronaut, and cowboy, among others. Each card is $99 and is an NFT, or non-fungible token, which is a digital collectible. The cards can be purchased at collecttrumpcards.com. The website says the money will not go towards Trump's 2024 presidential bid. Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.